Okay. It is now time to kind of go towards the end of the game. Do a little bit of wandering around first, just to wrap up some thoughts. So that's a bit loud. 1 second. We started out and we were told a very kind of capitalist, Puritan, individualist story about what the dust is. And it quickly became clear that couldn't be the full story. I am doing the opposite of what I intended to do. Oh well. You know, in Center City, we were told the dust corrupts people and it makes them monstrous, and they need cleaning, they need our help, they need the center's sustenance. And then we got outside the city and we found that actually it's probably a bit more complicated than that. And the relationship of the dust to the kinds of corruption that we saw is unclear. And then we encountered the dustbound, who seemed to live... This is not where I wanted to go. What am I doing? I confused myself. I've gone the wrong way. I wanted to go this way. You know, the dustbound seem to live with the dust, and not just survive it, but to thrive with things that are specifically features of life in the dust, right? Their mortality and their ability to sustain themselves and to work together to sustain themselves is the foundation of the joy in their lives. Which was a truth that Nova couldn't handle. And she ultimately rejected them and ran away, despite being in love with one of them. And that took us to the Outer Sands, where we discovered complex relationships between dust and the concept of home, and some fairly strong thematic statements about the way things build up over time in a healthy home, even in a healthy home. The ways in which the things that the dust has represented throughout the game that are to do with kind of emotionality and desire and mortality come to be critical parts of healthy and generative life. And then there were the two kind of Anodyne 2, Anodyne 1 callback levels. There was the Pastoral Horizon, which is very Anodyne 1, and there was New Zealand. The Pastel Horizon ties back into the theme of home and troubled homes, because it's a stage on the path of stray ghosts to the afterlife. But New Zealand I was kind of puzzled by. I was struggling to fit it in. It's not clear what the dust is doing there. And I went back through it and I took a lot of notes, a lot more notes than I've taken on any other section of the game. And the conclusion I came to is that New Zealand is the bit of the game that is paying off all of the subversive jokes it makes about video games. Which, you know, in some ways that's obvious, right? It makes a lot of subversive jokes about video games in that section. But specifically, that's the section where the game makes what I take to be the critical argument, the central argument of game criticism, that video games are to a very high degree, maybe even a uniquely high degree, an expression of capitalist ideology, or the tropes and the standard features of video games are a very clear expression of the meritocracy and the kind of combination of technocracy and nostalgia that sustain contemporary capitalism. And so what New Zealand ends up doing is tying all of this stuff together. The fact that we're playing a game about this and the ways in which the game's structures are reflective of its points, the critique of capitalism, and then by extension, because so much of the game is about family and home, the application of that critique to to the end of this sentence, to home and family, which is the thing that I really want to focus on in the rest of the work that I'm going to do on this game. The way in which family is a structure that serves capital, or the kind of archetypal or idyllic family is a structure that serves capital. So, with that discussed, I am going to where are we? Do something about progress towards the end of the game. 8 minutes of driving around in circles. I hope that was a useful discussion. So I'm not actually sure what the correct order to do things, or what the necessary order to do things in here is. I'm going to do it in the order that I have tended to do it, which is I'm going to finish fixing the prism, deposit my dust, and then do a bunch of other stuff that it's going to poke me about. I watched the speedrun yesterday, or a recent speedrun, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's pretty impressive. And there's a bunch of stuff I don't think you need to do in order to finish the game. I'm not even sure that you need to get all the cards. I thought you did. And I'm not sure that you need all the locks of the tri-lock color either. We haven't used that yet, but I've highlighted it. We're going to get to the tri-lock color. But here's the completion of the prism. Remember, Nova's explicit objective is just to complete the prism, repair it, and then fill it with dust. Nova, have you been enjoying the enhanced experience of the MetaClean framework? I see you're progressing well through the newly unlocked desert region. Now then, I think it's time we talked about our endgame. Please allow me, Visionary. I believe I'm the one to broach this subject with the appropriate dignity. NanoClean and Nova, already in your brief existence you have traversed the breadth of New Zealand's habitable regions and beyond. Soon your path will take you still further reaches of this strange and beautiful world. What a gift it is to explore this world, what a wonder to inhabit it. And yet, the fundamental problem of New Zealand, it must be clear to you by now. Dust, decay, the inexorable creep of corruption and depravity that leads, always, to pain. We are created by the centre, we should exist as glorious works of art. And yet, we are made of dust, and from our first breath we begin to crumble back. We lose our innocence and turn to vile and selfish habits. Lust, gluttony, anger are every vulgar thought, a stain upon the creative integrity of the centre's vision. And yet, there is still hope. When the graduated prism is fully upgraded and the final shipment of dust is sent, your purpose will be fulfilled, the anodyne. For once I must admit, that was beautifully spoken, Psalmist. You see, Nova, the anodyne is the pivotal moment at which the centre and New Zealand will fully reunite. It is a singularity at which the centre's network of influence expands into a fully self-sustaining regeneration of the centre's creative intent. Do you see what this means, Nova? Your continuous toil in fighting the rise of dust, the ravenous hunger of our souls which reality cannot sate, the promise of death and loss which haunt the brightest moments of our weary lives. When the anodyne is at hand, these nightmares will fade into the truest dreams of each inhabitant of New Zealand. Can you taste it? Perfect communion. And perfect efficiency, infinite energy formed via a transcendently wasteless system. Everything has led you to this point, Nova. Go now and bring about the anodyne. So, I was kind of reading quite fast there, because there's a lot of text. What they basically said is, once we do this, the centre's going to do some shiz and reunify with New Zealand and fix the problem of dust, which is framed much more explicitly here than elsewhere as the corruptibility and the mortality of the flesh. So the inhabitants of New Zealand are going to be made immaculate. And again, it's very, very Christian. Which way do I want to go? I want to go this way. And all we need to do to bring that about is fill the prison with dust. Now, but we are not going to do that. We are going to do something slightly different. And I'm sure there's meant to be a queue for this somewhere. Because I don't think I'd have found it on my own on my first playthrough, and I definitely did. What we need to do let's is return here. I don't think we have to wait for a queue. Whoops. That's not supposed to happen. Need to come back up here. Where the cat is waiting. And we can pet the cat. And the cat says, I'm not going to try to purr. I'm not going to try to purr on mic. I'm sorry. Nanocleaner Nova, I am so ashamed when I think of the last time we met. I was wild then, my puffs were matted with dirt and tangled in twigs. I was rude to you, no doubt. Please accept my most humble apologies. What's that? You would like to explore inside of me? Well, I would be deeply honoured. I'm sorry. Oh, how embarrassing. I'm having a hard time opening myself to resonance. Oh goodness, I promise I would like to let you in, but my body can be so frustrating at times. Esteemed Nanocleaner, I would hate to have you go out of your way for me, but I have heard of a powerful artifact called the Trilock Collar. Perhaps if you were to collect the collar and fasten it around my neck, I would be able to resonate with you once again. Oh, I would be so pleased, Nanocleaner Nova, if I could belong to you. So Walgali is into being collared. Make of that what you will. But here we have the Trilock Collar base. Base of the Trilock Collar, a mysterious in nature artifact. The smooth white surface is marked by 3 circular slots spaced along the front. It's one lock of the Trilock Collar. It soothes the paranoia of being watched. It's one lock of the Trilock Collar. It wards away fear of physical pain. And this one prevents the anxiety of meeting strangers. Nanocleaner Nova, is that the Trilock Collar for me? Wow, you would really accept me as your own? Well then, there is no doubt in my mind any more that we will be able to spark a connection. However, I don't think I have a dust crystal inside of me currently. I would hate for you to waste your time. You know best, though, of course. Nova fastens the collar around Walgali's neck. There we go. The air is thick with air, I guess. At least it's not dust. Nova, spark this being and forge a connection, enter them, and take a look around. And so we shall. And so it is the dustbound village. Nova says, huh? Why does everything look different? Have I landed in the wrong area? It's the dustbound village, but it looks fixed. And here's Drem. Nova says, Drem, I'm so glad to see you. What happened here? Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry about how I left things earlier. Drem, I was mad at myself, and I shouldn't have taken it out on you and Elegy. Can you forgive me? Drem Kanako says, nothing. Well, hello, visitor. Welcome to Robustbound Village. Drem, what are you talking about? Don't you mean Dustbound Village? Dustbound Village? Ha 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 ha! What an absurd notion! Dustbound, ha ha ha! As if the centre would ever allow such a fate. We here in Robustbound Village look forward to nothing but vigour and good health. Ah, you are the centre's own Nanocleaner, correct? It's a pleasure to meet you. I hope you enjoy your stay here in Robustbound Village. Drem. So things have gone horribly wrong, and the centre has fixed the dustbound, just as Nova wanted them to be fixed. Here you have Miss Fam. Oh, never mind me. We've got the painter dude, Sean mixed. Yes, perfect. I've completed another painting. The centre created me to be an artist. I can work tirelessly without taking breaks because I know that I am destined for true greatness. Oops, I don't want to go that way yet. Who else is there? I am father. I am mother. I am sister. I am brother. I don't think I spoke to them. I don't think I've ever spoken to them in Dustbound Village prior to this. Oops. This should be the way to the wrestling ring, but you can't go there anymore. I don't think you can go to the farm either. Or the burial site. Which is to say, everything's terrible and scary. Nova found Palisades card, but it's all torn and taped up. Drem was sorry that he tore up your card. He didn't know at the time what Palisade meant to you. Elegy? It's good to see you, Nova. Elegy, is it really you? What happened here? Why is everyone different? Have you ever blinked at the exact same moment that someone turned out the light? It almost feels like time cheated to rob you of that instant of transition, to make it forever impossible to reconcile the puzzle pieces of your existence. I saw Drem, but he was different. I don't like it, Elegy. The life we had here in Dustbound Village was incompatible with the Centre's vision, and so we were reset. My friends forgot everything they had once known. Ash and I escaped by chance, with our dust channeling peekaboo game. We vanished at just the right time and escaped the Centre's gaze. Why does it have to be this way, Elegy? Why does it have to hurt so much? Maybe it was a mistake to come here. If I bring about the anodyne, I can undo all of this sadness and loss. Nova, this loss that you feel, this is like a small taste of the anodyne. If you give in to the Centre, you will lose yourself completely. We all will. But I want to feel right, Elegy. I want to feel at peace. Don't we deserve that? Can't you see, Nova? We did feel right. This is a sad and scary world, but we were building something better from the wreckage. But why do we have to choose between the Centre and ourselves? Maybe we could talk to the Centre. Maybe it could change the rules. Maybe we could just act right because we want to and because it feels good, and we won't have to be afraid anymore. It's a nice thought, Nova, but is that what you were ever promised? If such a thing were possible, do you have any evidence that it's what the Centre desires? The Glandilock seed does not like this. But why wouldn't... Nova's head swims. Her vision fades into a dark and endless tunnel. Ah yes, she is starting to remember why she left the Dustbound. Drem, Elegy, all they ever wanted was to make a fool of Nova, to trample on the sacred task she had received from Palisade. Long ago, before Nova had even glimpsed the open sky, she had known the malice that lurked inside her own heart. Bran Maligden had taught her that. And what had Nova been hoping to gain by visiting Elegy again? She was no better than Gustine Papellum, always giving in to her basest desires for comfort and pleasure. It isn't worth it, Nova wants to scream at herself. She feels torn apart, but most of all she is afraid. How can she possibly hold out forever? The dust, it will seep into the cracks in her shell, and she will turn to rot. Her purpose will spoil and disintegrate. She will be subsumed into the roiling pit of darkness, with only virulent regret and pain burned eternally into her dimming mind. She can hear the dust all around her. She can feel its potential in every particle of matter. The noise grows and grows and grows and grows, growing, growing, growing. Nova, come back to me. That's happened before, hasn't it? Before you left the first time. Where are you going, Nova? When you get that look in your eyes, what are you seeing? Slowly, haltingly, the cacophony fades away. Nova's vision returns to normal. She looks up into Elegy's eyes, gentle and concerned. Nova is confused by her conflicting feelings. After a long pause, she finally speaks. I think it's the Glandilock seed. What's a Glandilock seed? I received it when I was born. It connects me to the Centre and gives me the power to transform dust crystals into cards. The Glandilock seeds holds close the memories of what I have seen. It reminds me of what the dust is capable of. It reminds me of the stakes of my mission. Thanks to the Glandilock seed, I will never lose focus on what truly matters, eradicating the dust. Nova, sweetheart, in this life, many things will happen that might hurt or scare us. Sometimes, yes, we'll learn and grow and continue on our journey. But sometimes, Nova, sometimes things are just bad. There's not always a lesson. When you were young, you saw things that scared you. You were pressured with the weight of unfair expectations. Does the Glandilock seed help you to understand the true nature of your fears? Does it lift you up when you reach for something more beautiful and true within yourself? Or does it wield your fears against you, beating you down with insecurity until you believe you have no choice? Nova decides to stay the night. Elegy and Nova walk to the outskirts of the village, lay on a hilltop, and gaze into the starry night sky. It's stuck there. The glandulux seed. I can feel it. I can feel its tendrils flex and squeeze, branching throughout my entire being. I could never ignore it. I could never be free of it, even if I wanted to. It's always going to be a part of me, Elegy. Always. That's why I can't be the one to turn against the center. I can't be the one to end this, no matter what I might think or feel. Nova, when you were born, they called you the Nano Cleaner, but you were the one who rose to that mantle. You were the one who molded yourself into the person who has made it this far. And now, isn't it time to form yourself once again? Isn't it time to take that power of adaptation and redirect it towards what you truly believe? As long as you are alive, Nova, that is your gift. You can always become something new. I don't know, Elegy. I just don't know if I can believe that. I don't think it's right for me to gamble on a chance like that. But maybe I don't have to. Maybe there could be another. Elegy, I have an idea. Do you think you could teach me how to dust channel, the way you became invisible to the center? Yes, of course. But why? Time passes, and eventually Nova leaves the village. I don't see any way around it. The center hid from me the true nature of the glandulux seed. But does it matter? If the anodyne will truly bring about peace and beauty, like Psalmist says, then who am I to stand in the way? I was created for a purpose. Why should I be owed anything more? And yet, I'm just not sure. In the end, there are two choices. Achieve the anodyne, or confront the center. Although, maybe I should just keep working until I am more certain of my decision. Acquired item, Nova's Dilemma. Nova can confront the center by heading to the dust prism cap in Bluevale Center.